Welcome to Policy on Demand's Week in Review. I'm Todd Metcalf. It's been a mostly quiet week in Washington with Congress away from the Capitol on its President's Day recess. But even with members of Congress flung to the four winds, the tax policy ball keeps rolling. In probably the most consequential development of the week, Treasury issued long-awaited guidance on the scope and contours of the corporate alternative minimum tax, the so-called CAMT. While not the final word on the unpopular provision, Treasury's action undoubtedly has many in the business community breathing a welcome sigh of relief. In particular, the new guidance clarifies that immediate deductions for research and development expenses, as well as accelerating the deductibility of R&D costs companies had otherwise been amortizing, should not have the perverse effect of increasing a company's tax bill under the CAMT. Last year's restoration of immediate expensing for certain R&D costs was intended to encourage more investment in the domestic economy. Without this new guidance, the CAMT could have meaningfully undercut that incentive. Treasury said not on its watch. While 95% of the federal government, including Treasury and the IRS, continues its work, congressional Democrats in the administration remain deadlocked over funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Negotiations over what, if any, limits may be imposed on President Trump's immigration enforcement surge continue, but thorny issues persist, such as whether and to what extent judicial warrants are necessary for searches and arrests, and whether ICE agents, like other law enforcement officers, should be required to identify themselves and operate without masks. Unsurprisingly, little progress has been made with Congress in recess, but perhaps we will see some forward movement when the House and Senate return next week. In the meantime, the functioning of FEMA, TSA, and the many other agencies within the department hang in the balance. But DHS funding is not the only unresolved issue on the minds of taxpayers. The fate and ultimate direction of the administration's trade and tariff policy remain an open question. While the Supreme Court has announced additional decision days in the coming weeks, there remains no clear indication when it might ultimately render its decision on the validity of the tariffs imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Only time will tell, so stay tuned. Looking ahead, President Trump is scheduled to deliver his annual State of the Union address on Tuesday, February 24th. While the primary focus likely will be on the administration's accomplishments in the last year, taxpayers should be on the lookout for any new tax policy proposals, especially on the affordability front, as well as for a renewed push for budget reconciliation to put more economic policy points on the board before the November midterm elections. While smooth sailing is rarely on offer in Washington, the constant churn does keep life interesting. Stay tuned for more on Policy on Demand, including a deeper dive into the CAMT notice. Thanks for watching, and have a good weekend.